Josh. Hey, what's up, man?
Hey.
How's it going?
I'm alright. What's going here?
So I'm actually asking the public 2 questions to see if people, trust their common sense, because in my opinion, everybody has common sense, So
Yes.
my real question is, do you trust your common sense?
Sometimes.
Sometimes? Yeah. I've noticed that with, no offense, but religious people, they tend to trust an authority over their own common sense, opposed to going, right?
But if I'm outside today and somebody tell me to sit down, I'm gonna sit down. If my daughter tells me to sit down, I'm gonna sit down.
Right. So
that day.
for that. Okay. So this actually has to do with water. I have 2 questions, and very easy. So can we say that water always fills the container from the bottom to the top, right? And the surface always evens out, right? Because the water will never stick to the top of the bottle, never fill it from the top to the bottom, right? It always goes from the bottom to the top, no matter what orientation I switch the bottle, right? That's common sense. Can we say that?
Okay.
It always from the bottom to the top, and it always evens out, no matter how I tilt the bottle, right? That's common sense, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Since we understand how water behaves, which one of these 3 is in the correct orientation? 1, 2, or 3? Which one's in the correct orientation? Since we understand how water behaves.
This.
2, right? Yeah, you got it, right? How do you know?
Because you said it's from the bottom, not the top of the sun.
Exactly, right? So could you put this one in the correct orientation? How does this one go?
This not even. I don't think
It did, because I took this one actually upside down. So like that, and then this one I took sideways. So you actually got it right. Okay. This is the one that was in the correct orientation, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so you got one. So how would we describe the surface of water? Like, what would be the definition of level, for example? Because, we have water in these. We put water in these, right? You know what these are?
Yeah, that was like what is it?
A leveling tool, right?
Yeah.
What do they use them for?
To mount stuff.
To mount stuff, could we say to make sure things are straight and even, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could we say horizontal, right?
Yeah.
Horizontal, right? That would be the proper term. So this next question, even easier than this one. Which one is correct, A or B? Since we understand, again, how water behaves and what level means. A or B, which one's correct? A, right? It's the obvious one, right? Yeah. So the real reason I do this is because over 95% of the population, maybe even you, because I did too, were tricked to believing the answer was B, even though we know it's A, because this is the common sense answer, right?
Yeah.
You want to know how we were tricked?
How?
Do you believe Earth is a ball?
Do I believe Earth is a ball?
Earth, a sphere in outer space, right?
Yeah.
Right? That's what they tell us, right? So NASA, in specific, they claim to go to space, right? So they claim to orbit the Earth. So they need to know the radius of orbit, technically. So they need to know the radius of the Earth, because they're supposedly going around it, right? Yeah. So they're telling us that the radius is 3959 miles, which means it has a circumference of 24,901, which means there has to be curvature every mile. So by the first mile is an 8-inch drop, second mile is a 32 inches, and by the third mile it's a 6-foot drop. So every mile it increases because it's not a pyramid. They're not telling us it's a sphere, right? Yeah. So it has to curve. So by the 10th mile there should be 66 feet, which is 6 stories. A 6-story, that should be measurable. In other words, if we were to build a level structure over a giant lake across, like a couple miles across, that water should be curving away from the structure by 6 feet in 3 miles. But if we understand physics and if we use common sense, we understand that the physics of water is going to be parallel to that structure. If we build
like a pier.
Exactly. So in my opinion, this is the number 1 experiment that debunks the globe. So if I was to ask you, what's the number 1 proof or the number 1 thing that convinces you that the Earth is it's a ball or a sphere? What's the number 1 proof?
That picture right there.
This pictures, right?
Yeah.
So did you know that they actually don't call them photographs? And the reason why they don't call them photographs is because they're actually Photoshop, and NASA actually admits it. So there's no real photographs of the Earth from space, and NASA admits it. So in my opinion, human beings have only gone 20 miles high. So that's the highest human beings have ever gone. Have you seen the Red Bull jump? The Red Bull jump from Felix? Yeah, right? Mm-hmm. He actually went nearly 20 miles high, and he actually used a giant helium balloon to get that high, right? Yeah. So in my opinion, any motor vehicle or even rocket that goes over 20 miles, I think will just fall apart. So that's the reason why in the Red Bull jump they use the helium balloon. So all the rockets, if you pay attention to NASA, they all curve basically, and they say that they're going over the curve of the Earth. But if they were going over the curve, then we should be able to measure that curve down here, So what they do is they go out of sight, and when they go out of sight, they cut to CGI, or basically a cartoon, an animation, basically. Yeah. So and then now people believe that they're in space, and then that's when they'll show curvature and stuff. Yeah. But again, if it's true and it's actually this is actually true, then this dimensions should be true. Technically, so every lake on Earth, even the oceans, should be bending. Because have you heard of the term sea level? Yeah. Right? That's how we measure height and depth, and that's how, everything's on the same level. Right. We all do it from a baseline, literally. Okay. It has to be, because if it was from a curve like this, imagine trying to get 10 feet over here, 10 feet over here, and then 15 feet over here in depth. It won't match up with each other in the same level. it won't be a straight line, it'll be a curve.
Right,
So they're trying to tell us level means curve. But if we use common sense, again, water shows us that, you know, it's always a horizontal line no matter what. Like the surface of this lake is always a horizontal line, and you know. So besides photographs, because again, there's no real photographs of Earth from space, is there anything else that maybe draws you to believing that convinces you, or is that just the only thing that?
Yeah, it's the only thing.
Yeah, right? Okay, that's pretty honest of you. You know, a lot of people will say gravity, right? You know, but gravity, or weighing things fall, for example, it's just the theory that it's a force pulling it like a magnet, right, or something. It's just the theory. So what they measure is the rate. So they measure that 9.8 meters per second, right? So they measure the speed in which things drop, which is not the cause of why things drop. So we're just measuring the effects. And that's why it's a theory. If you look up on Google, gravity is just a theory, basically. So it's just like, again, to make us believe, to make us warp our common sense, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So have you heard of people that don't believe in the globe or flat Earth? Have you heard of flat Earth before?
Yeah, I heard of that.
Yeah, right? Yeah, so flat Earth, I don't like to use that word because, again, it was a good, it was a catchy phrase at first, but the media kind of hijacked it, and now it's being ridiculed, and now if you question the globe, you're automatically a flat earther, right?
Yeah.
So obviously the Earth is not flat because there's high points and low points, there's mountains and valleys and, you know, and canyons, right? So it's level, and ultimately it's demonstrably and measurably level because water, you know, shows us that. And basically, you know, if the Earth is mostly water, then the Earth is mostly level, right? That's common sense. You know what I'm saying? So I'm actually sharing this information because it is being censored.
That's cool. I have to come over here.
No, yeah, I'm glad you did because look, it is being censored. And again, if you go online and try to search this, you're not gonna get any legit people talking about it like me, like actually physically talking about physically measuring the curvature. You're not gonna get anyone. A lot of sellouts out there, a lot of controlled opposition too. I don't know if you ever heard of that term.
A little bit.
Yeah, right. So here, if you want to check it out, there's some information there. The main proofs are on there.
Okay.
And I also have some links. You know, if it
have
intrigues.
this?
Yeah, you could have that.
Okay.
You could take that. You know, if
All
it
right,
intrigues you, man.
You in college and shit? Stuff? I'm sorry.
I'm actually no, but I'm gonna go to colleges in the future and
okay.
basically challenge the students
Yeah,
with
yeah.
this. So
That's dope, man.
yeah,
Keep
man.
doing it.
Yeah,
All
thank
right.
you, man. Have a good one. Thank you.